Mourning is an interesting concept that, to be honest, I tend to shy away from. I love to be an optimist. I love to celebrate the fun things. I love to laugh. Mourning, maybe not so much. There's losses to grieve. We've had people who've gone. Sometimes people who've literally died and we've lost them to eternity one way or another and have to face the loss that way. Or sometimes they've just moved on. There's the death of a dream. We started in ministry serving God in whatever ways, whether paid or volunteer, and we think that it'll happen a certain way. Certainly, lives ought to be changed and everybody ought to stand at the door and knock and want to get in. But at the end of the day, there's some loss, a sense of loss, that it didn't unfold the way I had expected. As a matter of fact, the Bible talks quite a bit about all of that. Even Jesus focuses on it and models it. There was a day his guys just got back from wonderful mission trips. They'd gone out 2 by 2, seen God do a lot of great works. But something else had happened during that time as well. One of their key partners in ministry, a leader they all looked up to and family and friend of Jesus himself, John the Baptist, had lost his life. And Jesus looked at them all and said, "Hey guys, let's get away. We need to have some time. Yes, to celebrate the upside, the wonderful things that God is doing in the kingdom, and yes, to mourn and grieve the loss." Sometimes people will tell me that, there's not really much to grieve. We all know how the story ends. We all know the glory of heaven. What is there to grieve? And yet even Jesus, knowing full well that in a few minutes he was going to watch his friend Lazarus walk out of a grave, wept with those who were grieving, feeling the pain of loss, knowing that the pain of death and agony were hard ones to swallow. And he wept, even though he knew the joy of what would come. Jesus even instructed us to practice a practice of mourning and grief regularly. We call it communion. Jesus said that we're to do this regularly to remember his death until he comes. I've been working through this. In ministry, I thought things would unfold differently than they have. I thought that districts would blossom, churches would grow. I thought that I would see a line out the door for all kinds of things that seemed right and good to me. If truly it meant that there would be crowds of people following Jesus, how could it not be what he would choose? And yet I find that he has a different value system, actually goes much deeper than I would have. And I've had to mourn so that I could actually fully rejoice. David wrote about this way back when, a celebration song of worship for the dedication of the house of the Lord. It was going to be a fabulous setting, a marvelous time when they got to rejoice in all that God was doing. And it's interesting, his song for that occasion actually starts and weaves in the whole journey of lament and mourning and grief. "I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you restored my health. You brought me up from the grave, O Lord. You kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name, for his anger only lasts for a moment, but his favor lasts for a lifetime. Weeping may indeed last through the night, but a shout of joy comes in the morning. When I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Lord, made me as secure as a mountain. But then in the moments that it felt like you turned away from me, I was shattered. I cried out to you, Lord. I begged the Lord for mercy, saying, what will you gain if I die, if I sink into the grave? Can my dust praise you? Can it tell of your faithfulness? Hear me, Lord, and have mercy on me. Help me, O Lord. You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I may sing praises to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give you thanks forever."